Good morning everyone. In our previous video of The Tempest, Act 1, Scene 2, we have discussed till lines 356. In this video, we will discuss lines 357 till 412. So by the end of this video, you will be able to learn the explanation of lines 357 till 412 and you will be able to learn the references and literary devices used in the lines 357 till 412. Let us now read lines 357 till 369. Caliban, oh ho, would it had been done! Thou didst prevent me. I had peopled else this isle with Calibans. Now let us see the word meanings. Peopled, inhabited. Calibans, offsprings of Caliban. So children, Caliban maliciously in the prospect of mischief says that he might have outraged the modesty of Miranda if he wasn't prevented. He says that he wishes it had been done. He tells Prospero that he stopped him, else he might have filled the island with Calibans. That means he might have filled the island with his children. Miranda, abhorred slave, which any print of goodness will not take, being capable of all ill, I pitied thee, took pains to make thee speak, taught thee each hour, one thing or the other. Let us now discuss the meanings. Abhorred means hateful, which any print of goodness will not take, who shows no response to any good treatment. So Miranda obviously doesn't like what Caliban says. She calls Caliban a hated slave. Nothing good will leave any imprint upon him. He is up to all that is evil. She took pity on him and had no end of trouble in instructing him in speech. She taught him this or that every hour of the day. When thou didst not, savage, know thine own meaning, but wouldst gabble like a thing most brutish, I endowed thy purposes with words that made them known. Let us discuss the meanings. Gabble, talked meaninglessly. A thing most brutish. This is simile. It means like those of a brute beast. So she further says, when he was so savage that he could not express his thoughts, not even could think intelligently, and when his only language was a gabble of meaningless sounds, like those of the brutes. So here she compares his sounds like brutes using a simile. She taught him the use of language and enabled him to make known what was going on in his mind. But thy vile race, though thou didst learn, had that in it which good natures could not abide to be with. Therefore wast thou deservedly confined into this rock, who hadst deserved more than a prison. Vile race, wicked hereditary nature. So she further says, but his vicious nature or his wicked nature, though he had learnt what she taught him, had something in it which men of good nature could not bear. Therefore, it was right that he was restricted to that rock, for he deserved something worse than imprisonment. Let us read the gist of the lines. Caliban wishes that it were successful. He says that Prospero stopped him. If he hadn't, Caliban would have filled the island with a race of Calibans. Miranda calls Caliban a horrid slave who can't be trained to be good, and he is capable of anything evil. She says that she pitied him, worked hard to teach him to speak, and taught him some new thing, practically every hour. She says when he didn't know what he himself was saying and was babbling like an animal, she helped him find words to make his point understandable. But he had bad blood in him, no matter how much he learned, and good people couldn't stand to be near him. So he has got what he deserved and was locked up in this cave, which is more fitting for the likes of him than a prison would be. Let us now read the lines 370 till 380. Caliban, you taught me language, and my profit on it is I know how to curse. The red plague rid you for learning me your language. Let us see the meanings. Red plague, leprosy. Rid, destroy. Learning me, teaching me. You taught me language and my profit on it. A metaphor has been used. Comparison of knowledge has been done to profit. So Caliban says that they taught him language and he has learned to abuse them. He further curses them and says that may red plague, that is leprosy, end them for teaching him their language. Prospero, hag seed, hence, fetch us in fuel, and be quick, thou art best to answer other businesses. Let us discuss the meaning. Hag seed, son of an ugly witch. Hence, go from here. Fuel, wood. So Prospero gets angry and calls Caliban a hag seed and tells him to go away. He orders him to fetch in wood, and at once. He warns him by saying that if it would be better for him to attend to the other duties that Prospero may require of him, and if he doesn't do so, he'll be punished. Shruggest thou malice? If thou neglectest or dost unwillingly what I command, I'll rack thee with old cramps, fill all thy bones with aches, make thee roar that beasts shall tremble at thy din. Shruggest thou malice? Personification. It means, do you shrug your shoulders, malicious fellow? Rack means torment. Old cramps, cramps such as you have had before, or the cramped pains such as old age experiences. Make the roar that beast shall tremble at thy din. It means your roar will startle the wild beasts in their dens. Use of hyperbole has been done. It has been exaggerated. So Prospero further personifies malice and asks if he is shrugging his shoulders. He says that if Caliban neglects to do or does the work unwillingly, Prospero will afflict him with cramps such as old people suffer from, and he will fill his bones with pain so much that his roars will even startle the wild beasts in their den. Caliban, no, pray thee, aside. I must obey. His art is of such power. It would control my dam's god, Setebos, and make a vessel of him, Prospero. So slave, hence. Exit Caliban. Let us now discuss the meanings. Dams, mothers. Setebos, a god worshipped by Patagonians. Here, the devil. Vessel, slave. So children, now Caliban gets afraid. He gets on his knees and prays to Prospero to not to do that. Aside, he talks to himself and says that he must obey Prospero because Prospero's magic art is so powerful that it would bring under subjection his mother's god, that is Setebos, and make an obedient slave of him as well. Prospero, so slave hence, exit Caliban. Prospero tells him to go away and then Caliban exits. Let us read the gist of the lines. Caliban says that they taught him language and all he can do with it is curse. He curses them and says that they may be damned for teaching him their language. Prospero tells Caliban to get out of there and calls him a son of a witch. He orders him to bring wood and be quick about it. He further asks Caliban if he is shrugging and making faces. Prospero warns Caliban that if he neglected his orders or do them grudgingly, Prospero will double him up with pains and cramps and make all his bones ache and make him scream so loud that the wild animals will tremble when they hear him. Caliban requests Prospero to not to do so. Then he tells himself that he has to obey. Prospero has got such strong magic powers that he could conquer and enslave the god Citybus that Caliban's mother used to worship. Prospero then tells his slave, Caliban, to go away, and Caliban exits. Let us now read the lines 381 till 390. Enter Ferdinand and Ariel, invisible, playing and singing. So children, here the second part of the scene begins with Ferdinand and Ariel. Ariel sings, "Come unto these yellow sands, and then take hands, courtesied when you have and kissed the wild waves whilst, footed featly here and there." The children, Ariel re-enter in the scene, invisible, playing and singing, and Ferdinand is following him. Ariel sings, "Come unto this tawny, yellowy sand beach, and then clasp hands. When you have nodded or when you have bowed and kissed one another, the wild waves being hushed into silence, dance briskly and gracefully to and fro. And sweet sprites, the burden bear, spirits, hark, hark, bow wow. The watchdogs bark, bow wow." Now children, let us discuss the meanings. Sprites, spirits. Burden, refrain of a song. Hark, hark has been repeated, so it is anaphora. Bow wow is a sound, so it is onomatopoeia. Now what is a refrain? A refrain is the line or the lines that are repeated in music or in poetry. Like the chorus of the song is called refrain. Ariel further says, "Sweet spirits, join in the refrain." Now the spirits sing, "Listen, listen." Now refrain from different part of the stage is heard as the spirits sing, "Bow wow." Ariel further sings that the spirits bark like dogs. Again from the different parts of the stage, the spirits sing, "Bow wow." The children, have already told you this bow wow is onomatopoeia. Let us now read the gist of the lines. Ferdinand enters with Ariel, who is invisible and playing music and singing. Ariel is singing, "Come onto these yellow sands, and we'll join hands when you have courtesied and kissed the waves into silence. Prance lightly here and there." Prance is dance. "And the sweet spirits bear the burden. Listen, listen." And then the spirits sing as refrain. Refrain of the song is heard off stage from different places, not in unison. What do the spirits sing? Bow wow. Let us now discuss lines 391 till 402. Ariel, hark, hark, I hear the strain of strutting chanticleer. Cry cock-a-diddle-dow. Let us discuss the meanings. Strain means loud sound. Strutting chanticleer, it means the proud cock. Cock-a-diddle-dow is a sound made by a cock, so it is onomatopoeia. Ariel further continues his song, and the sound of a cock crow is made from behind. Ariel says, "Listen, listen, the song of proudly walking cock." The spirits then cry, "Cock-a-diddle-doo." Ferdinand, where should this music be? In the air or the earth? It sounds no more, and sure, it waits upon some god of the island. Meaning of should, can. It waits upon, it attends on. The children, Ferdinand, on listening to the music, gets surprised, and he asks, where is the sound of music coming from? Whether it is from the air or from the earth. He feels that the music has stopped, and certainly it was for some god of the island. Sitting on a bank, weeping again the king, my father's wreck, the music crept by me upon the waters, allaying both their fury and my passion with its sweet air. Let us discuss the meanings, children. Allaying means diminishing. Passion, grief. Air, melody or tune of the music. The music crept. Personification has been used as the music creeps. Ferdinand further says that while he was sitting on the bank and lamenting again the loss of his father, this music drifted by him right across the water. It calmed down the tumult of the sea and his grief with its sweetness. Thence I have followed it, or it hath drawn me rather, but it is gone. No, it begins again. Thence, from there. It refers to music. So Ferdinand says, from there, Ferdinand has followed it, or rather, the music lured him from there. But he feels that the music is no more, and then again he listens to the music. Let us read the gist of the lines. Ariel continues the song and sings, "Listen, listen. I hear the tune of the strutting rooster," that is a cock, "who cries, cock-a-doodle-doo." Ferdinand asks himself where that music is coming from. He guesses that it's coming from the earth or the air. He feels that it's stopped now and it must be played for some local god of the island. Ferdinand says that as he sat on the shore crying over his father's shipwreck, he heard the music creep over the wild waves, calming their fury and soothing his own grief with its sweet melodies. He followed it till here, or he should say, it dragged him here. He feels that now the music has stopped, and then he hears the music again and says that it's there again. Let us now discuss lines 403 till 412. Ariel sings, "Full fathom 5 thy father lies, of his bones are coral made, those are pearls that were his eyes." Fathom, a fathom is about 6 feet. Children, you can see the repetition of alphabet F, full, fathom, 5 and father. So this is alliteration. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Metaphor. Eyes have been compared to pearls. So Ariel again continues his song. He sings, "Your father lies far down in the depth of the sea." That is around 5 fathoms down in the sea. And his bones have changed into corals. And his eyes have changed into pearls. Nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell. Spirits, ding dong. Ariel, hark. Now I hear them. Spirits, ding dong, bell. Let us discuss the meanings. Knell, this is the name of the slow, regularly repeated notes of the church bell at a Christian burial. Ding dong bell, again it is the sound, so it is onomatopoeia. And his mortal body and bones have been transformed by the sea into something precious and strange. Whose mortal body? It is Ferdinand's father's mortal body. Sea nymphs ring the death knell every hour in the honor of his death. The spirits now again sing, "Ding dong." Ariel says, "Listen, as now I can hear the sound of the bell." The spirits again say, "Ding dong, bell." Let us read the gist of the lines. Ariel again starts singing, "Your father lies 5 whole fathoms below. His bones have turned to coral now. His eyes have turned to pearls. There's nothing left of him. He's undergone a complete sea change and become something rich and strange. Sea nymphs ring his death bell every hour." The spirits ring the bell, ding dong. Ariel tells Ferdinand to listen and says that he hears them. Spirits again sing, "Ding dong, bell." So children, that is all for the day today. For your homework, you will plan extract of 12 and 13 with pencil on your workbook. Thank you.